Hi, I'm Chris Holt, and today we're going to look at Adobe XD. This is a bit of software where you can put together an app fairly quickly. I'm just going to put together a really simple app, but it shows that you can put together an app in probably about half an hour. It's very quick, quite easy to use, though it does get a lot more complex than I go today. But I'm just showing you how to put something together simply. I think the main thing with it is to sort of plan out before what you need for it, how your app's going to look, get the images. If you've got all those images together, maybe all your text on Word so you can copy and paste it, then you can put this together quite quickly. I tend to draw out what I'm doing, so like a very crude drawing just like this, so I know roughly what I'm doing when I start working. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. It's about half an hour long and it should show you how to put together an app. All the best. The music app will look a bit like this. It'll take about half an hour to put together. It's fairly basic, but I think from this you can build into something probably a lot more complex. Just flicking through the app, click on it, it takes you through to this first page. If you click on any of the images, it takes you through to a bit more information about the band. Then you can go back onto the next image, back onto the next image, back onto the next image, back and onto the final image, and again back, and then back to the front page of the app. And I think by putting this together, which as I say doesn't take very long, you'll have a pretty good idea how to put together a far more complex app. If you have Adobe, XD is part of the basic package, so just make sure you've got that downloaded and you're ready to go. This is the home page for XD. Up here in the center, you'll see various templates. So you've got templates for iPhones, iPads, web browsers, and you can do your own custom page. And if you click on any of these, within them there are various different devices. Okay, you can change these devices when you're actually working on the design at any time. So don't worry too much if you start with one phone and then want to go on to another operating system perhaps. Down below you have your projects that you've been working on recently. Over here to the left hand side you've got various other options. You've got your cloud documents, so you can bring in things that you've saved on cloud, manage links, delete. But the main thing over here is the add-ons. So if we click on that, it'll bring up these add-ons. These are a few of the add-ons I've worked with. And as you see, I've got down here, I've got the Apple UI kit, which is like all the different little templates that go into an Apple phone. I've got one that sort of just does text, so I could put text into an app without me having to sort of having pre-written stuff, just to see how the app looks. So it's various add-ons that you can just sort of download and use on your phone. So if I just go back to the home page again, let's say I was interested in using, say I want to do an app for an iPhone. So you click on there, it's got your various types of iPhone. I think I'm going to go for an iPhone maybe 7, 8. So I'll click on that. And there you see the iPhones come up there. So this is the sort of prototype. And this is the sort of basic page you'll be working with. So it's a fairly simple interface, or looks that way, but actually there's quite a lot in here. So if you wanted to go onto the phone itself, you can just double click on that, and then you might want to change the title. So I'm just going to go for P1 for prototype 1. And then I'll probably have quite a few prototypes which I will link together later. Okay, so here over to the left hand side you've got your various tools. To start with, you've got your selection arrow, which is pretty much the same through all the Adobe bits of software. Then you've got 4 shape tools down here. So you've got your rectangle, you've got your ellipse tool or circle, you've got your triangle, and you've got a line tool. Then you've got a pen tool, which kind of works much the same as pen tools always do. So you can just, so if you want to come up with some weird and wonderful shapes, you would use the pen tool. I'll just get rid of that for the minute. Okay, then you've got your text tool, which kind of is similar to all the other Adobe software. And then you've got down here an artboard, so you can sort of use that to create more artboards similar to the one you've got. So you can have all your sort of different slave pages of your app going on as you do it. So I could click on there, and then that would just let me do another artboard or do another artboard. Okay, so I could do that sort of thing. But also, if we go back to the selection tool and I go out a bit, command minus say, okay, so I'm going to go on, make sure I've got the select tool, I'm going to move that across, and actually I want to just create, and I find this is the easiest way to manipulate artboards. If you do shift and alt like you would in all the other programs, you can sort of grab it and then you can just sort of create various other artboards. And actually, if you move them around a bit, see, you can just see the sizing and it'll tell you when it's all even. Okay, so you can create as many artboards as you want. Later on in the project, when you put content in those artboards, you'll go on to prototype up here next to design. Now that'll allow you to link these different artboards together, so you begin to see what a working app will look like. So that's very useful to sort of create your app and then put that into a PowerPoint presentation. So when you're sort of explaining your app, you can show people how it might work. Eventually, if you were to create a real app, you would pass all this stuff on to some guys who would do coding for you perhaps. And they'd have the basis here and they'd just do all the bits they needed to do to turn it into an actual app. I mentioned plugins. So if we just go up to the plugins, click on that, you see a few plugins I've already downloaded here, but actually if you go to Discover Plugins, it brings up a page and you can browse through it, manage, and it's got lots and lots of plugins. If there's some that you already know about but you want, you can just search and type in what they are. As you see, there's the lorem ipsum, which I mentioned earlier, which is just text. But I think I've already got enough plugins for this exercise, so I'm going to shut that down, and I'm just going to show you quite a useful one, which is this one here called Photo Splash. And what this is copyright-free images. So if we just click on that, and you just type in a word of what you're interested in. So let's do music. And we just search there and a few images come up. And then we just go tick on whichever one we want. Let's say this one, for instance, and then apply photo down the bottom. Okay. And that puts the photo into the box. Then what you can do is double click on it. And you can sort of, when you've done that, you can sort of move the image around a little bit. And then if you click outside the box, you've got the image there. So that's one way which you could put images in. More likely that you want to put in your own images. And this is a bit quirky. I mean, there are various ways to do it, but probably the easiest way is if you go onto your Finder and you have your images already on the desktop. So let me just go onto my Finder, bring up the Finder box, find a few images. Let's just go onto the desktop, XD, film, into banned images. So I've got a few images here. I might just first of all just drag a box out where I want my image, okay? And then if I go back on there and I find one of the groups I want to put in, let's say it's the Arctic monkeys, then I should be able to just drag it over there and put it into the box. Okay, so that's probably the easiest way to put images in and keep some sort of control over it. You can put images in directly from Google. You know, you can copy and paste. There are various ways to do it, but I like a little bit more control. So I tend to, as I say, I'll just create a box where I want the image to go. Let's say there, for instance. And then I'll go into my images and I'll just drag and drop into that box. What I might do then is actually I might change this around a little bit. So this page here becomes my front page. So I'll click on that and I might just drag this out a little bit. And eventually this will be my sort of front page. Let's just do that, something like that. Just move over. And you can sort of see the page underneath it. And then I'll just go over there. So that sort of might be my front page. I'll actually just click on that and get rid of that image. And what I want then is I want 5 smaller images. So what I might do is just shrink it down a bit. Move it across there, and then I might just copy down using the options key. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, and as you see there's those spacing lines there, 4, 5. Grab them all just using the selection and bring them down just a little bit, so that's about right. And then I'll just go into them one by one. I'll go back onto the Finder. Again, I'll find my images. So it's desktop, and then I'll just find them in my XD file. Move that across. And the next one down, I might have Cage the Elephant. Sorry about that. So I'll click on that again, go into my band images. That's gone into there. Go on to the next one, band images, Radiohead maybe. They've gone in there. Onto the next one. And then go into the Smiths. Okay, that'll do. Sorry, it does sometimes jump out, so we've got to get rid of that. Let's just go back onto the Smiths again. Actually, I think this image might be better. Okay. My final one, I might go into the strokes. Great, so I've got those images there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each of these pages is going to have another image in. Actually, I want one more of these, so I'm just going to hold down the Option key and drag it across. And then I'm just going to click on that, Option key, take that across to there, resize it. Okay, something like that. And then I'm just going to copy this again using the Option key. Something's going on with this one, so I'll get rid of that. Make sure this is all sized up. As you see, you get guidelines which are really super helpful. Put that in there. And so I've got all my images in. So now all I have to do is change these over so that they fit in there. So I might have, as I say, I'll drag down the Cage the Elephant. And I'll click on that one. And I'll go for Radiohead again. I think that's the one. Okay. And then I click on that and bring in the Smiths. And then the final one, and bring in the strokes. And that's basically how I tend to put images into XD. Next, we need to put in a bit of text. So I'll just use the magnifying tool and go in on the Arctic monkeys. Okay, and I'm just going onto the text tool, the T. Click on that, and as you can see, you kind of get guidelines down by the side of the picture. So I'm just going to drag out a box, just so it sort of hits the picture either side. And I tend to work off Word documents always when I can anyway. It's just a bit better for spelling and grammar. So I'm just going to copy that, go back onto my document and paste it. Okay, and as you see, this panel's come up on the right hand side, and it's all the sort of tools you'd normally see in Adobe text style. So I'm sure you've all used this before. Very similar to Word also. The main things are down here. You've got the fonts, you've got the font size, and then you've got the stroke. Below it, you've got the sort of alignments, and then the fill is the colour of the text. You've got borders, which you can have around the text. You've got shadow, and you've got background blur. And here is the opacity. Okay, so if you want to fade down the text, you can also. Right, all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make the title, I think, bold. So the Arctic monkeys will be bold. Okay, so I just click on here and make that bold. Okay. The only other thing I'm going to show you with the text, I mean, it's all fairly straightforward as it would be in all the other programs. But if you wanted to put text directly in, you've got two options. So I'm just going to draw another little text box down here. Either I can put it in much the same as we did just up here. So I'll just type in, I don't know, music app. Okay, or what you can do, so at the moment I've still got it on this area text, which is kind of when you put in paragraphs and such like, but you can also use this single line sort of text. It's called point text. If I click on that, you'll see it just has a little button below it, and what that allows you to do is to pull the text out so you can sort of size it up for titles, etc. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to jump ahead and put the rest of the text in, and I'll be back with you in a minute. I've now put in all the text. I also added a line just below the band name. It kind of gives the image more of a feel of an old-fashioned photograph, which I like. And to put in a line, you would just go over to the left-hand side and use the line tool. If you want it to be straight, you hold down the Shift key. So you just draw across like that. I don't want a second line, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And if we begin to come out a bit, you'll see now we have all the text in. What I next want to do is put in a few stickers to make the app seem more like an app. If I go on to File, and then I go down to Get UI Kits, I think I'll go to this second one, Material Design, which gives you a sort of more general page of stickers. So if you go onto that, this page comes up, and if you go down here, you can see ones for Adobe XD. Just to point, some people like to design all the phones in Photoshop, which is fine, and then they just copy and paste it into XD, but I'm sticking with XD for this exercise. So I'll click on that, and it's sort of just downloading here. Double click on the sticker sheet, and you get a page up like this. So if you begin to go into bits of it, you'll see you've got a keyboard over there, you've got various bits and pieces, but what I want to grab is the header and footer on these settings here. So I'll click on the bottom one, And you see it's just selected that bit, and I can copy. And then what I'll do is I'll just shrink that for the minute and maybe go back here, and I'll just sort of paste that in. Okay, so I'll put that roughly there. I'm going to go back later and adjust it. And then I'm going to go back to the sticker page, and I'm going to click on the top bits. Now to start with, it'll select the whole thing, but actually if you want a little bit of it, you can just double click on it. So I've just double clicked on the very top bit because I think this whole section here might be a bit intrusive on the pages. So I'm going to copy that. Again, hide that, and probably just put that in there. So now to go in a bit closer and adjust it, just use my magnifying glass. Okay, just going to get the top one, just like that. The bottom one, perhaps ease it up a bit. I think that looks about right. And then I'm just going to copy and paste. So holding down the Shift option, just grab that, go across there. And do the same with this one here. Ease it along a bit. And then just continue doing that all the way along. So holding down Shift and Options. Shift and Options. Just ease that along a little bit with the arrow keys. Shift and Options. Shift and Options. And again, I'll do exactly the same down the bottom. And it just sort of begins to give it more of a look of an app. Okay. As I say, I'll do the same with the bottom bits. And then I think that's good to go. I don't think I'll put anything more complicated in at the moment from the stickers. But going back to the stickers, as I say, you've got quite a good choice of various things in there. If we come out a little bit. And you can just copy any elements by double clicking them. I could have the whole keyboard, click once, or you can go into any smaller elements by clicking twice. Okay. When I've got my app looking how I want it, just have a double check to make sure all the text is in place, the headers, the footers, and it all's looking good. So now what I want to do is I'll be working in design, obviously, with all the shapes, etc. But I'm going to turn it into a prototype where you link all the pages together. So I'll click on there. And then if you go and click on an actual page, you see this little blue arrow comes up. Now I'm going to link that through to the next page. And then what I want to do is when I'm on this next page, if I click on the arrow on the bottom, I want it to take me back to the front page. So I'll click there and I'll just pull this all the way across over there. And then what we're going to do is just work through each of these images. And I'll go on the Arctic Monkeys and I'll link it to the Arctic Monkey page. And then I'll go on to Cage the Elephant. And I'll link it onto the Cage the Elephant page. And I'll go onto Radiohead, link to Radiohead page, go to Smith's page, and go to the Strokes, and link to that page. And then what we have to do is link it all back so you can come back by when you click on the arrow back to this page here. So I'll just click on there, bring that round to there. Click on this one here, that round to there. Click on this page here and bring that round to there. This one here. And then finally this one here, and bring it round to here. So now we want to see if we've actually got this working all right. So I'm going to go up to the top right and click on this little arrow here, which is desktop preview, and it brings up this page here. So if I click on this, hopefully it takes me back to that page, and click on that again, it takes me to the front page. Click on the front page, and then if we click on any of these images, hopefully it'll take us through to wherever we want to go. And that's basically how we put together an app. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's quite easy to put these things together. If you want to actually develop this app into a proper app, you probably need some more underlying code written for you. But you can save the basic thing by going up to next to prototype to share, and then export prototype. We'll leave that on my desktop, and I'll just show you how it would look. Okay, so that's exported now. So if we pull that out of the way, I'll just open up this file, and as you see, it's created, it's a bit like packaging in InDesign. It's created this file, and in there, like, there's all the code, etc. But a developer would need to actually turn this into a real working app. Okay, guys, hope this has helped. See you next year. Bye for now.